She was trusted by the school district and by parents. But tonight, a fifth grade teacher in Cape May courthouse is accused of having a sexual relationship with one of her students. Detectives say the abuse started when the child was 11 and lasted for years, and that the two share a child.
Laura Caron is a fifth grade teacher in New Jersey's Middle Township Elementary School number 2. No, that's not a mistake. She is still a teacher. We will get to that later. She resides in the unincorporated community of Cape May Courthouse. Also, not a mistake. Also, we'll get to that later. From 2016 to 2020, she was what is known as a family resource parent to the victim, who we will call Tim, and his 2 siblings. Basically, that's what New Jersey calls a foster parent, and you guessed it, we'll get to that. Fast forward to December of 2024, and Caron posts a picture of her 5-year-old daughter on social media. On December 12th, Tim's father commented that her child bore an uncanny resemblance to both himself and his son. A concerned citizen brought the comment to the attention of Dr. David Salvo, the superintendent at the school Caron works at. Dr. Salvo promptly reported it to Officer Thomas Runyon of the Middle Township Police. In a police interview, the victim's brother, who we will call Ross, says Tim admitted to him that Tim was the child's father. Tim's mother makes a similar statement. They also both say that Tim asked them to keep it secret so Caron wouldn't get in trouble. Caron was arrested without incident on January 15th on charges of aggravated sexual assault, and endangering the welfare of a child. She was being held in the Cape May County Correctional Facility until her bail hearing. And yes, we will get to all of that right after my overly obnoxious trigger warning. Roll the intro. Tim's mother adds that Caron would offer to watch the children overnight, which eventually progressed to Tim and his brother living at Caron's house full-time. Caron was born in Warrington Township, Pennsylvania in 1990. Tim was born in 2005. In her teen years, Caron attended Archbishop Wood High School, obtaining her diploma in 2008. She then attended Cabrini University, where she played guard and forward on the basketball team and majored in elementary education. She obtained her degree in 2013. In 2014, Middle Township School District hired her to teach 5th grade at school number 2. The official reports don't mention this, but if I'm doing my math correctly, Tim had to be her student the first year she taught. This means that she got her degree, obtained a job, and immediately started offending. Like Lucy Leppi, I'll link to her video on the end screen. Caron became friends with Tim's parents, so close that Caron began watching the children overnight. Tim's father explains, "It began with 1 or 2 nights a week, and eventually the children stayed with Caron permanently from 2016 to 2020. Tim's mother adds, Caron would offer to watch her children, which progressed to her sons living with Caron at her home. It is unknown why the children began living with Caron permanently. However, the judge at her bail hearing referred to her as a family resource parent. In New Jersey, this is the official job title for foster parents. The New Jersey Resource Parents official website states, in New Jersey, the term foster parent has been replaced with resource parent. This term more accurately reflects the resource parent's supportive role to the children, the children's family, and the professional team. The resource parent serves a critical role in supporting reunification efforts, the primary goal for most children entering out-of-home care. I'm not sure if this happened as soon as the district called the police or when she was arrested, but Caron was placed and remains on paid administrative leave. Caron makes over $58,000 a year, and right now she's being paid to do nothing when she shouldn't be getting paid at all. Additionally, this means that officially she is still a teacher at the school. She's just not teaching right now. Now let's find out exactly what Caron is accused of. Tim would be in the shared bedroom when she fell asleep. He would be in Caron's private bedroom when she woke up. As I've already mentioned, Caron met Tim when he was a student in her 5th grade class. Caron also met his parents and became close friends with them, leading to Tim, Ross, and the victim's sister, who we will call Sally, having overnight visits at Caron's house 1 to 2 nights a week. Over time, the visits increased until Tim and Ross were living with Caron full-time. This is important because it is a grooming process, and those overnight stays are when the crimes happened. We will get to those crimes in just one more paragraph. First, according to a licensed clinical psychologist who specializes in narcissistic abuse, Dr. Jamie Zuckerman, this relationship is about power and control. In her court TV appearance, she explained that Caron, like all narcissists, lacks the ability to feel empathy and has no accountability for her actions. Zuckerman explains that Caron felt entitled to take what she wanted and wouldn't even entertain the consequences of her actions. Zuckerman points out that Caron was grooming the entire family by befriending the parents. Okay, now let's get to those crimes. According to Sally, the children started spending nights at Caron's home when Tim was 11 years old. Ross reports that during one of these overnight visits, he was watching a movie with Caron and Tim, who were in a recliner together under a blanket. At some point, Caron and Tim thought Ross was asleep, at which point Caron manually manipulated Tim to orgasm under the blanket. Explains that she and Ross used the upstairs bathroom to shower, but Tim used the downstairs bathroom. When Tim would take a shower, Caron would follow him into the bathroom and lock the door. On at least one occasion, Ross witnessed Caron and Tim exit the bathroom wet and wearing towels. The children shared a bedroom on the 2nd floor. Caron had a private bedroom on the 1st floor. Sally reports that often Tim would be in the shared bedroom when she fell asleep. He would be in Caron's private bedroom when she woke up. In 2019, Caron gave birth to a daughter. After this, Ross reports that Tim slept in Caron's room permanently. Tim also started keeping clothes in Caron's dresser. At some point in 2020, the children moved back in with their biological parents. Tim and Caron stayed in contact until Tim's dad made that social media post I talked about in the introduction. On January 15th, the Middle Township Police Department, Cape May County Prosecutor's Office, and Special Victims Unit took Caron into custody without incident. Her home was searched and DNA samples were retrieved from Caron, Caron's daughter, and Tim. An article published in The Independent on January 17th quotes Dr. Salvo, you remember him, the school superintendent, as saying, "When the district was first advised of the allegations, the staff member was immediately placed on and continues to be on paid administrative leave. Additional questions should be directed to the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office." The school is cooperating with the investigation in every way they are asked to. Additionally, the school is providing counseling and support services to students, staff, and any family who may have been affected by these crimes. The Cape May County Prosecutor's Office released a press statement. Let's take a look at it. Caron will serve 8.5 years or 102 months in prison and could serve as much as 40 years in prison. She's been charged with aggravated sexual assault, and endangering the welfare of the child. Aggravated sexual assault is a crime of the first degree and carries a sentence of 10 to 20 years. Sexual assault and endangering the welfare of a child are both crimes of the second degree and carry a sentence of 5 to 10 years each. In New Jersey, the prisoner must serve the minimum mandatory sentence or 1/3 of the imposed sentence, whichever is greater, before being eligible for parole. A prisoner must serve 85% of the sentence imposed before parole eligibility for violent crimes. Aggravated sexual assault is a violent crime. Sexual assault and endangering the welfare of a child are not. So that all means that if convicted on all accounts, Caron will serve 8.5 years or 102 months in prison and could serve as much as 40 years in prison. If the minimum sentence is imposed on the aggravated sexual assault charge, all the sentences run concurrently, and she gets paroled on her first time at bat, that would be an 8.5-year term served. On the other hand, if maximum sentences are imposed, they run consecutively and Caron serves the full term on all charges, that would be 40 years. Of course, she could be found not guilty, or she could be sentenced to anything between 8.5 and 40 years in prison. Cape May County Prosecutor Jeffrey H. Sutherland is quoted as saying, "This arrest underscores the unwavering commitment of our office and law enforcement partners to protect the children of our community. Teachers hold a position of great trust, and the allegations in this case represent a deeply troubling breach of that trust. We will work tirelessly to ensure that justice is served and to the victim and their family throughout this process." Middle Township Police Chief Tracy Super stated, "The welfare of our children is of the utmost importance, and we are fully dedicated to pursuing justice in cases like this. Parents and guardians place immense trust in teachers, and when that trust is violated, it impacts everyone. I want to personally assure the parents of Middle Township that we are taking every step possible to ensure the safety of our children. Our department is working closely with the prosecutor's office to ensure that every aspect of this case is thoroughly investigated." Alright, that brings us to Karen's bail hearing. And you aren't gonna believe this shit. Let's just watch some excerpts from the hearing, which I'd like to thank Court TV for making available. First, let's hear from the prosecution.
It's the state's position that there's no amount of monetary bail, non-monetary conditions, or a combination of the two that would reasonably assure the defendant's appearance in court when required. And he indicated that the defendant took both of his sons, the victim and J.M., in 5th grade. On December 16, 2024, the victim's sister explained to police that she spent time at the defendant's residence and believed the victim was 11 when he started sleeping at the defendant's residence. The victim's mother had a telephone conversation with the victim. He confirmed that he is in fact the father of SC. During interviews with the victim's family, it was found the defendant would purchase the victim gifts. The victim confirmed that he had a sexual relationship with the defendant. This defendant is charged with some of the most severe offenses under our laws. This defendant's actions represent a gross violation of the trust placed on her as an educator and as a caretaker. The release recommendation of the PSA is a no release recommended, as this is a NERA offense. The prolonged nature of this abuse demonstrates a calculated effort to manipulate and control the victim, including contacting the victim up and until the Facebook post in this December. That would be 416 separate sexual assaults this defendant committed against a child. As an educator, this defendant has demonstrated an ability to exploit her position to gain access and manipulate minors for her own gain, for her own sexual gratification. I'm also going to emphasize the psychological harm she inflicted upon this victim, whose trust was betrayed in a devastating manner. He became a father at 13 years old.
Now let's hear from the defense.
In the state's moving papers for detention, the state mentions nothing about the potential for obstruction. Judge, you know from the PSA, Laura is 34 years old. Her background is spotless. She got a job down here. She's been a 5th grade elementary school teacher at Middle School District for the last 11 years. To make an arrest before there was any DNA investigative work done in this case. There is no DNA, no medical evidence, no physical evidence, no microscopic evidence, no fibers, no nothing. She lives with her mother. The house at 25 Orbit Drive in Cape May Courthouse, she lives with her mother. Her mother was there the entire time that the children were at the house. So the score of 1 on a risk to reoffend, if Your Honor allows her to go home, we think the PSA got that right as well with a 1. The lowest scores that she could possibly have. She is absolutely aware that if Your Honor released her, she would not be allowed to have any contact with the victim or his family. But she will not be able to get any part of her life back if she's required to remain in jail. It was a case that I handled, and Your Honor made a tough call at a detention hearing on a 42-year-old man who had a spotless background, was a school teacher. His scores on the PSA were a 1-1 with a recommendation for no release. Your Honor released him with strict conditions. He complied with every single condition that Your Honor imposed. So I think it's similar. I believe that if Your Honor takes a chance on Laura, she will not disappoint the court. But Judge, we respectfully ask that the court consider the very, very low, unrealistic risk of flight, risk of committing a new offense, and risk of obstruction. Thank you, Your Honor.
Finally, the judge's ruling.
And will deny the state's motion for detention. Having said that, there are considerable restrictions that I want to put in place with regard to Ms. Caron's release.
Yeah, you heard that right. She was released without posting bail, and that is how she is currently living in Cape May Courthouse. And you can make up your own mind about your thoughts on that. Let's wrap this video up, shall we? We could discuss how female sexual predators are treated differently than male sexual predators by our society and our justice system, but I discussed that already in the video linked on the end screen, and Vinnie Politan did an entire show about how that relates to this case, so I think I'll skip that. Well, would just like to say that we all know that women and men have very different stereotypes attached to them, their behavior, their actions, and their attitudes in this culture. And that those stereotypes affect the way the justice system, the family courts, and the civil court system treats both men and women in cases like this. I see no need to belabor the point beyond that. What I would like to talk about is how this case and others like it are showing us a glaring hole in our check process on potential teachers. See, a background check only tells you what a person's been caught doing. If someone graduates high school, goes right to college, and then starts teaching fresh out of college, they're teaching school by the time they're between 22 and 24 years old. Most sex offenders don't get caught till they're in their 30s. Do you see the problem? Here's what I'm wondering. Is there any efficacy in submitting first-time teachers to a full psychological workup, including a sexual orientation screening? Yes, they do exist, and they have for a long time. Don't get on about HIPAA. We don't have to release the results. The licensed psychiatric professional conducting the workup could simply report a yes or no status on whether or not the person is fit to be a teacher of children of the age group the job they're being considered for. A full disclosure would only happen if the potential teacher challenged the findings. What do you think? Let me know in a comment. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, as always, super thanks and channel memberships are super cool. And now, I gotta jam some tag. You're in.